special episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. Now, I am not Robbie Hummel. My name is Rob Dauster. I am the best Robert on the Field of 68 network. But I am taking Robbie's place. He's off gallivanting somewhere in New York City, somewhere on the East Coast. Who really knows? But
You know where
I
he
am
is.
here. I'm here right now with the one and only Jeff Goodman, Stadium Insider, and we're going to be breaking down some of the decisions that have been made
Hey, Rob.
today. NBA draft deadline day, Gonzaga. Big day for the Zags. And it's
Well,
not, it might not be over yet. Is it official? Do we have word?
exactly. We're waiting. We're waiting on Drew Timme. There are two guys left of the 200 and how many were there? There were 240 Division I men's college basketball players who put their name in the underclassmen who declared, and there are two left now that have not made a decision. Both are on the West Coast. One is named Drew Timme. The other is Jules Bernard. And everybody else has made a decision. And what do you think Timmy's going to do?
I think it would be a very bad decision for him if he ended up going to the NBA route, especially just in terms of financially. I think he is worth more to Gonzaga than he would be worth to any NBA team, any professional organization at this point. That's no slander on Drew Timme. He's awesome. He's an All-American. But he kind of is what he is, right? And he's not really an NBA player. If he was an NBA player, he would have been gone 2 years ago.
Agreed. And I'll play devil's advocate for you and tell you that even another year. Now, could he win a title? Yeah, but we've been saying that for 2 years and he didn't win a title. And is he going to get any quicker? Is he going to jump higher? Is his shot going to get better? Any of those things, Rob? Or is he going to be the same player or a similar player a year from now? And do you just start your clock and try to make a team now, or go overseas where he could make a lot of money overseas if he ever went overseas?
Yeah, he could make a lot of money overseas. I think that he would make more playing for Gonzaga, and considering what they got coming back with Julian Strawther coming back and Rozier Bolton coming back and Nolan Hickman coming into his sophomore year and Hunter Salas coming into his sophomore year.
And they may not be done.
Yeah, and some of these freshmen that they got coming in. Look, Drew Timme is one where I don't blame him either way, right? Like we had a long conversation about this the other night on the DTF podcast. I thought Jalen Williams made, I don't want to say the wrong decision, but if I was advising him, I would have told him to go a different way. I would have told him to come back to school. It was probably in his best interest. We'll get into Trevor Keels in a little bit. I think that it would probably have been in Trevor's best interest long-term to come back to school, but I understand why he went. Drew Timme, look, if he says I'm done with college, I need to go pro, I understand it. I get it. Go do what you got to do. If he decides he wants to come back and make a run at actually winning a national title and trying to put a stamp on his legacy as opposed to whatever all these idiots that think Creighton sucks are going to say about him, I understand that too. So it's just, at this point, it's just a waiting game. Like, and look, I love Drew. I love him. Come on, man. Make your decision. You are not still deciding right now. Just put out the graphic.
Well,
we know you got it done.
But maybe you're going back to Mark Few and Gonzaga and giving him a figure. And maybe you've already given him the figure, but, you got to be in it for yourself a little bit too now and say, hey, you know what? I know what some of these other dudes, I talked to a few of these other bigs that decided to come back to school, and here's the number they got. And you know what? I'm as good as those dudes. So I want to be paid accordingly to come back, or else I'm going to leave.
Yeah. And that's what he should be doing. The question is, why are we waiting to within an hour, as of right now, an hour and 4 minutes of the deadline? But listen, hopefully we're going to get this Timme information coming in while we're talking about this, while we're live on the stream, while we're doing this Good and Humble podcast. So I want to, what was the next biggest decision for you? The next most impactful decision that was made on NBA draft deadline day?
Keels is a big one that just went down. I thought the Kansas guys today, both of them was huge. Jalen Wilson surprised me a little bit because I thought he was leaning towards leaving. And then you throw Kevin McCullough into the equation, the Texas Tech transfer, and Kansas goes from a team that we're like, maybe, probably not, a true contender, to now you look at it and you're like, okay, now they got a couple wings and forwards, some young players that I think have a chance. And their bigs are the question mark for me. Their bigs are the question mark, but Bill Self's done magic to some degree. So can he do it again with this group? Again, listen, there's no clear-cut number one team. That's what I'll say is you could say Houston, you could say Gonzaga, you could say Creighton. Who am I forgetting in there?
I mean, Duke is up there. Kentucky's up there.
No, I don't think they are. I think there's, to me, maybe I'm wrong here, but I think there's like, I don't know.
So my take is that I think Gonzaga, if Drew Timme comes back, then like you probably have to rank them number one. I don't want to rank them number one. It's kind of boring. It's kind of old.
Carolina. I'm sorry.
Oh, Carolina. Yes, that was the obvious one. We probably should have gotten that one. I honestly think that I'm kind of at a point where I want to say that Houston might end up being the team to beat.
I mean, maybe. Listen,
look at the guards, man. Like, look how good they were last year, right? I know you hate KenPom. I know you're anti-analytics, but last year Houston was like by the end of the year they were a top 3 team in the country without Marcus Sasser.
Yeah,
and now Sasser is coming back. And Jamal Mark is coming back. Jamal Shed, I believe Kyler Edwards is coming back, right?
Kyler Edwards is gone.
Kyler Edwards is gone. All right. But regardless, you have those 3 guards, which might be the best backcourt in all of college basketball. And I honestly, I do not care who their front court is going to be, because I know that there is going to be some 3-headed monster that Kelvin Sampson puts out there that's going to defend, that's going to crash the glass, and they're going to be the toughest motherfuckers on the court every time they step on the court. And when you combine all of those things with the fact that Kelvin Sampson is still the man coaching them, how are you not betting on Houston, man?
Well, oh, by the way, they've got a big coming in, Jarace Walker, who I saw last summer, who's talented, and Terrence Arsenault, a wing, a super. I really liked him when I saw him. You and I saw him both at the Peach.
Yes, you loved him.
I saw Walker in Atlanta, I believe, and he wasn't great when I saw him, but I heard he played much better through the high school season. So
just to put this in context, Terrence Arsenault has gotten to the point, at least he did last summer, where I was like, man, I hope this dude stinks, because I cannot stand Goodman ranting and raving about how great this dude is.
he was good. He was good. So, I'm with you. I think there's 4 teams that you could probably lay claim to the number one spot right now. You know, if Timme comes back,
let me just we'll move on in a second. I just want to put a ball in it with Houston, right? They were a 5 seed that played like a 1 seed down the stretch of last season, and they're bringing back the majority of that team, a lot of the most important pieces, plus adding a guy in Marcus Sasser, who for my money is going to end up being a first-team All-American, who could end up being, by the end of next season, the National Player of the Year. I don't think it's crazy to say that. So that's why I'm like, Houston's going to be really good. I don't know if I'm going to have them number one. I don't think there is a clear-cut number one. I think if Timmy's back and you don't rank Gonzaga number one, it's kind of crazy. But Houston is very much in that mix. Let's put it like this: if you're doing a preseason bracket, shout out to Lucas Harkins, you probably need to have Houston projected as a 1 seed.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the 1 seeds are, to me, again, Carolina, Houston, Creighton, Gonzaga for me. But all right, let's go through before we get into that, like top 25 and all that stuff. I think people probably want to know a little bit more. You know, biggest surprises, biggest losers, who made the craziest decision, who made the decision that surprised you the most, Rob? Is there anybody that, and I know we didn't prepare for this. This was a spur of the moment type of deal that we put together here. But is there somebody that made a decision that just left you scratching your head?
There were 2 that really kind of caught me off guard. The first one was John Butler from Florida State. Like, I don't know what he's doing, man. Like, I hope it all works out for him. I hope that he ends up being a guy that sticks in the NBA for a long, long time. I don't like rooting against kids, but for a dude that weighs like 170 pounds soaking wet to go to the league where 170 pounds is what the 5'8" point guards weigh, right? Like, it seems like that one's a little bit best of luck to the young man.
I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that one. That was surprising to me too.
Yeah. The other one was AJ Green. And I really thought he's older. I get it. He's transferred, like he would be transferring. It's not like he's going back to Northern Iowa, but I really thought that he was going to end up at Iowa State and playing for his dad for just like a one last run. It seemed like that was kind of the storybook thing that was going to end up happening and going to be the way that thing eventually played out. And not only did he not go to Iowa State, not only did he not spurn Iowa State for Duke, which a lot of people thought was going to end up happening, he stayed in the draft. And I I did not see that one coming, but I also kind of get it, right? Like he's old. He's got to be what, 22, 23, something like that. He's had a couple injuries. So
yeah, let me give you a couple numbers, okay? That I'll tweet out tomorrow. But I'm going to give you a couple numbers here.
would you call these numbers a study?
This is not a study. I'm not going to claim I did one of your slapdick studies here. All right.
It wasn't slapdick studies, man. It took a lot of effort. I ran some numbers. I crunched it.
I ran some numbers too. It took me 4 minutes. All right. Anyway, there were 240 Division I players that put their name in that declared. I told you that already. All right. So 131 of them, there are 2 left. 131 of them stayed in. 107 withdrew. Okay. So of the 131 that stayed in, people are going to look at that number and they're going to kill. If I tweet just that number tomorrow and I say 240 players, Division I players put their name in, and 131 stayed in, what do you think the response is going to be?
They're going to be, these people are crazy. But are they going to factor in the guys that were seniors and graduated that could have come back for their 5th year or 6th year?
Do you want to guess how many? 131 stayed in. Do you want to guess what the percentage is?
So how many were like how many were regular underclassmen and not COVID underclassmen? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying how many guys played at least 4 years of college basketball?
That out of that 131?
Correct.
I will say 80.
68.
68. That makes sense. Sounds about right.
Still a big number.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a big number. To me, that's 60. It's basically half. It's basically half. You get 52%.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that 107 withdrew. 48 of those played at least 4 years.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. RJ Cole is technically an early entrant to the NBA draft. Right, he played 5 years and was at 2 different schools.
A lot of these guys were done. They were done with college. They played 4 years. They're done. They're old enough. They wanted to move on.
Yep. All right. So what was your biggest surprise? What was the one that kind of shocked you?
Probably Will Richardson going back to Oregon.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Like I had just assumed that he was gone forever. Like everything that I thought about when it comes to the season, everything that I thought about when it comes to projecting this stuff in the preseason, I was like, yeah, Will Richardson is gone. There's no way that dude's coming back.
Right. No, I'm the same way. I was shocked on that one. I was surprised on. I'm trying to think if I was really surprised. I don't know if I was surprised. David Roddy, I knew could go either way. AJ Green surprised me a little bit. Dalen Terry, you knew was kind of trending that way, but it still surprised me a little bit because I just felt like with Dalen Terry, if he had come back with everything they lost with Mathurin and Koloko, he would have been the guy. He would have been the guy next year. And it is what
he is. You know what he is? That would be like Mikal Bridges declaring the year before Villanova won the title, right? That's basically what it is, where everyone knew that he was going to come in and be someone that would make a ton of sense playing in the NBA and be a really nice fit. And we knew he was going to be the breakout star and kind of make that leap. And he's just going the year before it because he can go get guaranteed money. And honestly, I would not be surprised if some team scooped him up in like the top 20 or top 25, just knowing you may have to wait a year before he's ready to really contribute at that level. But once you get him, you're getting a lottery level player a year before he is a lottery level pick. If that makes sense.
Rasir Bolton's another one that surprised me a little bit. I didn't think he'd come back. I thought, he'd be gone for the most part. Trying to think who else. The Michigan guys didn't surprise. I mean, you go through, we'll start with biggest losers. Biggest losers overall. I think you got to say, who?
Jeff Borzello is the biggest loser.
He is a loser, but we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about the draft deadline. I would say Iowa State, TJ Otzelberg on the deadline here, thinking you're going to probably get AJ Green and beat Duke to get him, and instead he checks out. Colorado State, clearly.
Colorado State to me is the biggest. Like that could have been a top 15, top 20-ish kind of a team, and
Arizona, Mathurin, Koloko, and Terry, all three. Now, again, you had a great year, so it's like, hey, you know what? Thanks for everything. we helped you get to this point. But I would say those are the losers. Michigan, I think more Musa than Caleb to me, but I'm not even sure how well Musa and Hunter play together. So I
Yeah,
don't.
it was a little bit of a weird fit.
Right. Washington State got to be right. I mean, they got to
I
be losers.
guess, but like they're also Washington State, so like,
Right.
does it matter?
Give me
No,
your
I think
answers.
Michigan is definitely hurt. I
Right.
do feel like Michigan kind of came into the season expecting that they were probably going to lose those two, and I think the fact that you get your All-American back in Hunter Dickinson kind of evens a lot of that out, right? Like, did
Yeah.
Juwan really think that he was going to end up having Hunter Dickinson for a third season? I don't know if he really did. So I think that kind of does balance it out a little bit. Yeah, the guy that I really thought would end up coming back, that I was really hoping would end up coming back was Trevor Keels. To me, that just he
He had the
is
toughest decision.
he's a right hand dominant kind of bully ball guy who looked like he was going to be a shooter at the start of the year, and by the end of the season was not really a shooter, right? Like he was kind of a guy that put his head down, went to his right hand, and when that was able to work, he was able to go get you a bucket. And when that wasn't able to work, then it was kind of like, okay, what is he doing out there now? If he comes back to school, he adds that left hand, right? He adds that jump shot to his repertoire. He becomes a little bit of a better passer off the bounce. You become a little bit of a more engaged defender, which a lot of sophomores do a year after they get to college. I think that I don't want to say he's different in terms of what he does compared to like a Jaden Ivey kind of a player. But to me, he's the guy that could have come back and made that kind of a leap and been a lottery kind of top 20 level player. Now, at the same time, he's probably going to end up being a top 45 pick. And if you're a top 45 pick, you are very likely to end up getting some kind of guaranteed contract for at least 1 year in the NBA. And if you're not, then you're probably going to end up getting a two-way. And we talked about this on the DTF pod the other day. But if you get a two-way, you're probably, if you have an agent that's any good, you're probably going to end up getting about $450,000 to $480,000 is what the salary is. It's half of the league minimum. Non-guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, but if you have an agent that's worth his salt, then you're more than what one front office guy told me is that if you have a good agent, then you're going to get your 500K, more or less. So it's hard to turn down, man. That's what the to me, Trevor Keels, the floor is probably a two-way.
By the way, for everybody listening, just so you know, subscribe to our newsletter, Field of 68. We put out a newsletter today, first day of this new newsletter. It is going to be ridiculous. Every day from here on out, Monday through Friday, we will have a newsletter, if you subscribe, being delivered to your email early in the morning, and it'll be loaded with everything that you need to know, want to know for college hoops. So if you haven't done that, do that now. All right, winners.
I want to talk about Duke big picture real quick.
Okay,
not just Trevor Keels. Yep. So you lose. Keels is gone. You already lost all the other guys. That we knew that those guys were going to be gone. There's no surprise there.
Yeah.
That means that your lineup right now, it looks like it's going to end up being Jeremy Roach, Tariq Whitehead, Mark Mitchell, Filipowski, Derek Lively, more or less, right? And then you have some other pieces.
It'll be Kyle Young. Kyle Young might start this season.
Ryan Young.
I'm sorry, not Kyle Young.
Ryan Young.
Thank you.
But it's basically you have Jeremy Roach, 4 freshmen, and a couple transfers. What do you make of this Duke team?
I worry about John Shire. I do. I worry about him because I just think, they always play a tough schedule early. Well, maybe not tough all around, but they'll play some good games. And I think if you're playing those good games with such a young team against experienced teams, you're a rookie head coach with a bunch of freshmen early in the year, it's a recipe for disaster. So I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know these players well enough and their DNAs. We saw them last year, but it was such a hard summer to evaluate these kids because, again, you had COVID. Filipowski didn't play at the PGM. I saw him at the NEPSAC deal. So, again, I don't know. I have them ranked 12th right now, and I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, they're going to look like they should be like top 30 for probably the first couple months or a
Right.
couple weeks of the season early on. And then once they kind of get their feet, because you got to remember, it's not just that they're likely going to end up starting 4 freshmen, right? They also have a guy that is effectively a freshman head coach. So there's a lot of new things and a lot of new pieces. They could have used that go-to guy. It would be nice if they could add another one of these guards that's still available in the Porter. You were tweeting a little bit about
Yeah.
Courtney Ramey potentially ending up going there. I
That
don't
would
know
be
if this is
huge.
he's not
Yeah.
on the list. I wish that someone like a Keon Brooks would have considered going to Duke, because I do think that would have been a pretty good fit in terms of what they were kind of looking for. But I don't know. I'm worried about what Duke is going to be, especially early in the season.
Looks like Shams is breaking.
Yep, Shams just
Timme.
broke it. Your boy, your stadium boy,
Yep.
Timme is coming back to school.
There it is. There it is.
It's the right decision. All right, you know what? Let's get into that conversation then. Should Gonzaga be the preseason #1 team in college basketball?
Yes. Yes. I mean, again, listen, you're loaded right now. I know everybody will say, well, they didn't win at all. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. But, Timme back, Strother back, Bolton back. You lose Nemhard. You lose Chet, obviously. That hurts. You hope that one of Hickman, and you might add some, again, you might add another piece here. Malachi Smith from Chattanooga. He could end up transferring there. That would give you the point guard that you're looking for, the older point guard to go with Hickman. Hunter Salas. They added Efton Reed up front. He's not Chet Holmgren, but he'll help. And they've got some other young players. So
here's my take on that, right? I think you can make a very strong argument that if Nolan Hickman makes the jump that a lot of us expect him to, a guy that was a top 15 recruit coming into college, didn't really play as a freshman. Same thing with Hunter Salas. I believe he was a McDonald's All-American, 5-star guy, didn't really play all that much coming into college. He's back for his sophomore year. You bring back Rasir Bolton, you bring back Julian Strother, who is a guy that has the potential to end up developing into an NBA player one day, right? Those 4 guys, probably the best backcourt / perimeter group in college basketball, right?
Yep.
Drew Timme, 2-time first-team All-American. Some people would have had him as National Player of the Year as a sophomore, potentially. He's coming back. He's going to be very much in the conversation for the best player in college basketball this year. I don't know how you can argue against that, right? So you got a guy at the 5 who might end up being the best player in college basketball. You maybe have the best backcourt / perimeter in all of college basketball. And you got a guy in Anton Watson who can just kind of like fit in there perfectly as the 4-man to bring all of those pieces together, who doesn't give a shit about getting his shots up. I'm kind of sick of the Gonzaga storyline myself. Just like it's become so repetitive. Yes, they're really good. Yes, they play in the WCC. Yes, they beat up on these bad teams. Yes, this is what it is. Yes, we have to argue about it all the time, and I'm so sick of that conversation. But like, how do you pick against them with Timme back? How do you do it? You can't do it.
I don't think you can preseason. I don't think you can. But again, it's going to largely depend on the guards right now and point guard play and how good Hickman is, and if they get Malachi Smith. But yeah, I think the safe pick is Gonzaga at #1 in the preseason. That's kind of the easy pick. But again, the naysayers will say, well, they can't win the big one. They get overwhelmed once they get into the turn. And listen, some of that is true, especially you're not going to have Chet. So, Timme against big-time athletes does have issues. But again, Timme in the WCC and Timme in college basketball, for the most part, has been pretty damn dominant. And he'll continue to be dominant. And maybe it will be something now where it was, hey, coach, I'll come back, but you got to let me shoot threes. Like, you got to let me, you got to force me to shoot threes if I'm not doing it. I'm not going to sit in the paint. I'm not going to face dudes up and do my spin moves all the time. I need to be able to shoot threes and see if I can do it and expand my game.
Yeah. Where would you rank him in terms of best college basketball players kind of this generation? Because I think that he's right there with Tyler Hansbrough in terms of like the best careers that I have seen college basketball players have.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is Hansbrough won a title.
Senior year, came back.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, he won one. I'm saying, yeah, at this point, I guess they would be comparable. The biggest difference is we saw Tyler Hansbrough every single night. And with Drew Timme, he goes away for the better part of 2 months.
Mhm.
And really 2 months, you're talking about him. Obviously, when they play St. Mary's and BYU, we care. The diehards watch. The casual college basketball fan is not staying up at 10 o'clock at night to watch a Gonzaga BYU or Gonzaga St. Mary's game. They're just not. So that was the difference with Tyler Hansbrough. His exposure, his profile was just 100 times bigger.
Yep. Yep. It's I do kind of feel for him a little bit. And look, I feel for Gonzaga fans that have to deal with this every year. If you look at any other program that would have gone to 2 of the last 5 national title games, that has been a constant staple among the top 3 in all of college basketball by metrics, by people that break it down, by looking at the amount of talent that they have coming into the program, by looking at draft picks, by looking at pros, whatever it is, Gonzaga's right there with anybody that you want to put them up against in terms of success and in terms of the ability to churn out professionals. But we consider them bust because honestly, they've probably been too good for their own good.
Yeah, the expectation, and again, there's always that, like, the haters. There's
Mhm.
I mean, there's always those Gonzaga haters, and I don't quite get it. Maybe Timmy's turned people into a little bit of that because he's got some shit to him, and he'll talk, do the stash thing and all that. But other than that, like, who's been hated that's come through there since, like, Adam Morrison?
There really hasn't been anybody.
Right.
Right? Like, it's just kind of they are what they are, and I think the pushback is people that are trying to be different, that are saying, like, just to be contrarian. They get frustrated by the fact that people like us keep talking about them when they haven't won a national title. Like, by the way, knocking off UCLA in that dogfight in the Final Four
Yeah.
that they won, that's kind of one of the big one,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Getting to the Final Four past, I believe who did they beat? It was Oregon, right? They beat a really good Oregon team that had a bunch of pros, Peyton Pritchard, Jordan Bell, Chris Duarte. They beat that team in the Final Four. That's kind of one of the big one, right? And I know they got smacked around by Baylor, but look, if Baylor doesn't get COVID in the middle of that COVID year, they probably go undefeated.
Yep.
So, look, Gonzaga's awesome.
Gonzaga or Carolina? Gun to your head. Who's the better team next year? At the end of the year, who are we talking about going further and having a better overall season? Gonzaga or North Carolina? Who are you taking?
Is North Carolina going to add another piece?
Who are they going to add? Who's left?
I mean, maybe like a Pete Nance. I was just looking at the list that you had put out there. Like, could they go get a Pete Nance? I don't know where he's going to end up going.
That'd be
I
huge.
assume it's not going to be Gonzaga with Drew Timme back.
You know who they should get? Amani Bates, Carolina.
If Amani Bates bought in the way that Brady Manick bought in, I don't think that I would necessarily hate it. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
You'd love it. You'd love it and I actually think Hubert would be great for Amani Bates. I think he'd be really good for Amani Bates. I do. He's a positive dude. Amani's going to go up and down, certainly, but you get him in the weight room now, and I hope he's been in the weight room. I hope he needs to gain 15 more pounds before the start of next season. But
Monty?
Yeah.
He needs to gain a lot more than 15
Well,
pounds. You know who they should get? You know who'd be a perfect fit there? He's got a list of 3, and I'm pretty sure that North Carolina's not on it.
Yeah.
Keon Brooks.
Keon Brooks would be good.
Slide right in at the 4.
Yep.
It's capable of making down. Now, he's not going to be the rim protector. He's not going to be the shot maker that Brady Manick was, but he'd slide right in there.
Yeah, he could stretch it to like 18. Like he can make those. He's more of a mid-range guy, but I think he's going to be a guy that if he works on it and gets shots, he can make it from 18 and maybe be a. Listen, I've seen far worse guys end up being good shooters with work. So, and he's not a bad shooter by any means. He's just not a guy that's shooting threes. So You're right. Like Keon Brooks wouldn't be a bad one for Carolina. Who else? Winners. Gonzaga is the big winner.
I mean, I disagree. North Carolina's a big winner because all those guys could have left. Mondo could have left.
Yeah.
Caleb could have left.
Yeah.
Leaky might not have come back. RJ Davis could have left.
I'm saying from the draft deadline deal.
The last day.
Yeah, well, just even I mean, you're right. Like it's just the guys who put their name in. The guys who put their name in and this whole process, I would say Gonzaga is the big winner. Houston with Sasser coming back was huge. Oregon with Will Richardson and Quincy Guerrier coming back was big. Wyoming getting Hunter Maldonado back was big.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas.
Kansas is a huge winner here. Like there's going to be a lot of pieces that they need to kind of figure out on the way that they're going to make this thing work, right? But the idea that you have the wings that they have to be able to kind of play that positionless kind of switchable style that they want to play, some of those freshmen that are coming in, and the fact that like I low-key love DeJuan Harris as the kind of college point guard that makes everything else fit. Now it's going to depend on like a Grady Dick and then who's the big guy?
Pettiford,
yeah, but Pettiford, yeah, of course Pettiford. But who's the other guy? Who's the big guy they got coming in? Yeah, who's they got a
Grady Dick, MJ Rice.
Yeah,
MJ Rice is probably the one that we're talking about. But they've got wings now. Like that's the beauty right now. Is to me, obviously when you're bringing in some of these guys, McCullough can just play wherever you need him. Like
play him at the point if you need him to. Yeah.
He's awesome. Like I love McCullough. I think he's just such a winning basketball player.
He is. I know that there was issues when he was at Texas Tech in terms of headaches involving stuff that wasn't necessarily the basketball part of the situation.
I don't know, man. I just know him on the court, and I think he does all the right things, and he does whatever you need. And he's an intangible guy. He's a winner. He helped build that Texas Tech program. So I'd take Kevin McCullough in a heartbeat, especially as my secondary ball handler, because they're going to have point guards on that team where he doesn't have to be your primary guy. And you wonder how much he left Texas Tech because of their offense too, and wanting to have a little more freedom.
Yep. I think, and I know that these guys don't technically count as winners because only one of them entered the draft and he was the transfer that came in. But I think the team that I'm most excited to see this season is going to be Creighton.
Oh,
I cannot wait to see what these guys look. I'm all in. I last year in the Big East tournament, I told you this. I shoved all my chips in the middle. I went all in. I was Phil Hellmuth in it. Yeah. I was all in on Trey Alexander. I think he's going to be a complete stud next year. I think he's going to be a guy that we're talking about on this very show. Yeah, you know what? If he had come back, Creighton might have been different. But you know what? When you're a top 20 pick, you got to go. Ryan Nembhard, stud. I know you love that dude. Arthur Kaluma, stud. Right? Yep. He was really good down the stretch of the season. You throw the anchor in there with Ryan Kalkbrenner, and you got a guy like Baylor Shireman who can knock down shots and kind of play off the ball, and you have all of a sudden three guys that can initiate offense, all of whom can make shots, surrounding by a 7'1" dude that was maybe the best defensive player in the Big East last year.
I know. No, they could be, and they're just going to be so much fun to watch offensively. That's going to be and McDermott coaching that team offensively.
The offense is good. Like it's gonna. There's gonna be so many times where I take those like cell phone videos of my screen and I'm like, oh wow, look at this! Look at this set that Greg McDermott just ran. How pretty was this?
I'm excited because I haven't been to Omaha in a while. Went there for the tournament, but I haven't been for a Creighton game since Dougie McBuckets was there, and we went to the Drover for a good steak.
We all know that was Grant Gibbs' team. Okay, put some respect on the man's name.
Grant Gibbs won't even respond to us on a text.
He doesn't respond anymore. I can't believe it. Unbelievable.
Busy coaching the G League. Takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of time
for us, man. He's a big deal now.
Jeff. Huge deal.
He's a big deal now.
What else? Anything else before we run?
I do think we need to mention Trace Jackson Davis. It was not a deadline day kind of a thing, but Trace is back.
Yep.
They brought in a couple of 5-star freshmen. They got another 5-star sophomore in Tamar Bates, who is going to come back to school this year, and I think he's going to have a good season. Race Thompson is back for his 83rd year as a member of the Indiana Hoosiers. Yeah. Miller Kopp hopefully will make more shots this season than he did last season. It's all going to come down to shooting.
Yeah.
But Trace is a huge difference maker. And if Xavier Johnson is the Xavier Johnson that he was over the course of the last month of last season, then Indiana's a top 10 team.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can trust. Do you trust
cover
David?
Indiana like no other team next season?
Oh,
so
I know it's going to be
people are gonna be
unbearable.
tired of
I'm going to have to hate them. I'm going to
you will hate it. By the end of the year, those fans will hate you. They're going to love me and they're going to hate you. But no, Trace coming back was huge for Mike Woodson because you take him, like, think about it, and you do this with a lot of teams right now. But if you took, Trace and Race out of the equation right now, you'd be like, I don't know. But now, and the Big Ten it looks so weak at the top. There's just no great team.
It is soft.
I know. It's where, honestly, Indiana's got a great shot of winning the league. It's the right time to bring back a veteran team like that. X is going to be important. But like you said, Tamar Bates, Jordan Geronimo, Trey Galloway, and then you bring in Hood Schifino, and I can't believe Malik Renault went there as a top, 30, 40 player when Trace, was coming back. I mean, it was so they're good. I got them at 11 right now. There's somewhere in that. You could put them as high as probably 8 or 9, 10.
It's a little I cannot put until I see Xavier Johnson do it. I can't put someone with Xavier
Johnson.
Johnson.
See him do it at the end of last year. He was terrific.
He did. That's why I said if he's that guy,
right?
Man, they're going to be really good. The guy that I was trying to remember was Ernest Uday. The 5-star big at Kansas. I couldn't remember his name. Thank you, Parker Titus, for that one. I think that is Mark Titus's alter ego. There was one other message that I didn't want to play for you. I'm going to bring it up on the screen over here. Right. It is from Colin Gorham, and let me see if I can find it. He is an NC State fan.
Okay.
And he said that NC State is going to the Final Four now that Baby T Terquavian Smith is back. So,
all right, settle down, slow your roll there. Colin.
Put some respect on Baby T's name. Shout out to Scott Wood.
Illinois, they're going to be fun to watch this year.
Illinois is going to be the drunkest team in college basketball next season,
right? I mean.
How can you project anything out of a team that has Matthew Meyer, Terrence Shannon, I'm blanking on his name, the big kid that's coming back,
Coleman Hawkins,
and Sky Clark? Like, those are the 4 guys where I'm like,
I like RJ.
Like,
they're going to be fun.
They're going to be. You never know what you're going to get. You know what they're going to be? They're going to be the one team that I always talk myself into being like, how are they only laying 2 points in this spot?
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't want to bet on Illinois because you never know which Illinois is going to end up showing up.
By the way, I ranked your UConn team 23rd in the latest rankings.
We'll see. I think they're going to be good. They're going to be entertaining. I really like Tristan Newton. I think he's going to be a really good player. I like the other pieces that they've added in their backcourt. I think that Danny did a good job identifying guys to play the roles that he needs them to be able to play. But to me, there's 2 things that need to happen for UConn to have any.
Is one of them have the initials JH?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. If he takes a leap that I think he can, then because I think Jordan Hawkins is a potential top 20 pick if he can get the handle right.
Yeah, maybe.
If he it's confident, it's 100% a confidence thing with him. And then Andre Jackson, that dude's got all the talent in the world, all the passing ability in the world. He needs to be a better decision maker. And if it comes together for him, and you're telling me there's going to be a lineup where it's Tristan Newton at the 1, the kid from Virginia Tech at the 2. Jordan Hawkins at the 3, Andre Jackson at the 4, and Adama at the 5. That is a team where if it all comes together, can be really dangerous. But there's a lot of ifs in that conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. And what more can you ask for? They're going to be in the. I don't think that they beat Creighton for the regular season title, but they're going to be right there in the mix to maybe win a Big East tournament title, maybe make a run to the second week in the tournament, maybe get to a Final Four. I think that all of that is within the realm of possibility.
Also, anybody watching, If you have suggestions for what you want from us, content-wise in the off season, let us know. Obviously, we've had a bunch of draft content. We've had a bunch of the new coaches series that's ongoing here for another couple of weeks. And then we'll probably turn our attention a little bit of recruiting because July is the recruiting month. So if you guys have any suggestions, DM us. However you want to get a hold of us, we are accessible. So thanks for joining us tonight. The big news, Gonzaga's Drew Timme decides to come back. Gonzaga probably the preseason #1 for just about everybody. And the last man standing right now, Jules Bernard. To my knowledge, I haven't been looking at my phone lately, but I don't think he's made a decision yet. He's got 28 minutes. So hopefully Jules knows it's 11:59 Eastern time, not Pacific time, Jules. Let's get on this.